Hi there. Many others like you have asked, what is the definition of grace? Let's find out, shall we? You can also discover more on gotquestions.org. The gospel message is the good news of God's grace, so it is important to know what grace is and constantly seek a better view of it in our lives. Grace is part of God's character, is closely related to benevolence, love, and mercy. Think of it as God's benevolence on the undeserving. He is willing to forgive us and bless us abundantly, in spite of the fact we don't deserve it. To fully understand grace, we need to consider who we were without Christ and who we become with Christ. We were born in sin and guilty of breaking God's holy laws. As His enemies, we deserved death. We were unrighteous and without means of justifying ourselves. Spiritually, we were destitute, blind, unclean, and dead. Our souls were in peril of everlasting punishment. But then came grace, God's extended favor to us. It saves us, is the essence of the gospel, and gives us victory over sin. Grace gives us eternal encouragement and good hope. Jesus is the embodiment of grace and truth. The Bible repeatedly calls grace a gift. This is an important analogy because it teaches us some things about grace. First, a gift is much different from a loan, which requires repayment. With grace, nothing is owed in return. Second, a gift is free to the recipient, although it is not free to the giver, who bears the expense. The gift of salvation costs us sinners nothing, but the price of this extravagant gift came at a premium for Jesus, who died in our place. Third, once a gift has been given, ownership of the gift has transferred and is now ours to keep. No take-backsies. God's grace is ours forever. Fourth, in the giving of a gift, the giver becomes poorer so the recipient can become richer. Fifth and finally, the Bible teaches that grace is completely unmerited. In fact, the Bible says quite clearly that we don't deserve God's salvation. Grace does not stop once we are saved. God is gracious to us for the rest of our lives, working within and upon us. Grace justifies us before a holy God, provides us access to God to communicate and fellowship with Him, wins for us a new relationship of intimacy with God, disciplines and trains us to live in a way that honors God, grants us immeasurable spiritual riches, helps us in our every need, is the reason behind our every deliverance, and preserves us and comforts, encourages, and strengthens us. In conclusion, grace is actively and continually working in the lives of God's people. Without grace, we can do nothing. It is greater than our sin, most abundant, and too wonderful for words. As the recipients of God's grace, we are called to be gracious to others. All right, that answers your question. What is the definition of grace? On our website, gotquestions.org, you'll find an in-depth article with citations and resource suggestions. If this helped you as much as it did others, like this video and subscribe to the Got Questions channel. If you'd like to study more, as always, just keep asking.